Hello, everybody. I'm Toby Shifsky, and this is Real Expert. This is our webinar series with Kaplan Real Estate Education, where we bring in industry experts. A lot of these industry experts are fortunate enough to be on our staff and faculty, and today is no different. Today's Real Expert is the real estate road ahead. A turbulent, is it a turbulent or tame? The real estate road ahead. Our expert today is going to be Sergio Rodriguez. And let me go ahead and just introduce there. I think I've got the videos up. Hi, Sergio. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly, Toby. Good morning. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, thank you. Happy St. Patrick's Day. So just a couple things that you need to know. So Sergio brings about 21 years of real estate experience. And Sergio, you've been on two sides of the fence. You were not only a real estate expert for the last 16 years, but you were also on the mortgage side before that. Is that right?
That's exactly right. I was a mortgage loan officer with Bank of America prior to being a real estate agent.
Awesome. So you know both sides of the deal. You put those two resources together, and I'm sure you get a lot of deals done. And so here's the thing. Sergio is a top producer. You know, he's a top producing listing agent, top producing dollar agent by volume, company wide. Sergio is also a very kind of, I would say, revered instructor at Kaplan. So Sergio does licensing education for California and nationally for us, licensing education. Does a ton of video work, a ton of live classroom work, and live online is the next big venture. He comes with a massive amount of California real estate experience, and he is here today to help us kind of with this tough topic, which is where are we going now? Where are we going in this super tight market? This limited listing market that has all these challenges that have been posed by 2020 and COVID Relief Act and people being out of a job and not paying rent, right? What kind of pressures did that put on housing? What kind of pressures does it put on landlords? COVID Relief Acts, where there's money available, but who's it available to? You know, interest rates so low. We got all these moving pieces. And so really what we wanted to do was get a perspective from an expert, you know, Sergio, and we wanted to know, what does the road really look like ahead? Is it going to be just rough and full of potholes? As a matter of fact, is there a cliff at the end? Are we on the edge of a bubble for a pop? Or is the road smooth sailing? Like what you see now is what you're going to get for the foreseeable future. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to dig in with Sergio today. And so thank you, Sergio, for being here. And thank you, everybody else. All right. So here's the thing, just to make sure we got the ground rules set. So, because I know a lot of our listeners come back every month and we go fast. So Sergio, you and I have done some prep work on this, and we've got enough material here. We always do to go hours and hours and hours, and to go deep and deep and deep and deep. And the idea is we don't have that much time. We got 30 minutes, so we're going to go pretty quick. We're going to go pretty fast. And once again, I'm going to be asking some questions, and you're going to be bringing the expertise. And in the end, our listeners are going to have at least your opinion of what's going to happen in the marketplace, you know, on the road ahead. At least for the foreseeable future. And then I'm going to ask them some polling questions along the way to help us gauge where they're at. So you in the audience, you can send in your text chat questions. We get a lot of them that come flying by. It is actually moderated. We have Michelle Auger's here. She is our technical, really our producer, and she will be actually monitoring some of those questions too, and she will be floating those questions up to us if possible. So here's what I want to do. I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to play. So we're going to go fast. Sergio, thank you for being here. Here we go. Ground rules are set and we're off. Let me ask you, Sergio, all the disruption last year, right? I mean, we had COVID. I mean, it was literally like a year ago to today when I canceled almost 2,500 live classroom classes at Kaplan for real estate education. Done. Had to move everything to live online. Great, right? We compressed 3 years of change within 3 months and we're off and running. But, you know, in the real estate market, you have people out of jobs, you have disruptions at work, you have stay at home, you have all these things happening, interest rates dropping all year long. You have social unrest, right? So I'm in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, ground zero, right? And then you have an election, right? Very heated, very hot, very tested election. And so, we come out of that and we come into the new year, and where do you think we're at? I mean, we still have millions of people who are taking advantage of some forbearance issues. We have people who are unemployed still and not paying rent. Where do you think we're at right now and we're really going to be dealing mostly with residential. A month ago, we did a commercial piece. Today is really going to concentrate on residential. And so where do you think we're at coming out of last year?
Well, definitely a lot of changes in all of our lives, Toby, and real estate has been, of course, no exception to that. Last year's market, just like you mentioned, I just heard that number for the first time, but 2,500 classes all of a sudden had to be canceled. That's amazing. Pretty much the same thing happened exactly a year ago. Of course, March of last year is when it all happened, is that the real estate market came to a screeching halt. Like if we go back to March 2020, nothing was going on. Nobody knew what was going to happen going forward, of course.
Right.
Home sellers didn't want to let buyers come into their homes to look at the homes. Home buyers, a lot of uncertainty. Buyers said, well, wait a minute, why should I take on a 30-year mortgage right now when I don't even know what's going to happen a few months from now? So all of this happened. But the most interesting situation from all that, Toby, is that a few months after that, all of a sudden, what was driving the market was the fact that people, knowing that they were going to be staying in their homes and needing more space, all of a sudden, all that demand came into the market and then started driving the market. A lot of demand, not enough supply, led to an amazing situation, considering, of course, the pandemic, the fact that home prices appreciated the highest they have appreciated in 1 year in a long time. Across the United States, we're talking about a 10% appreciation. In three markets in the Southwest, which are Seattle, Phoenix, and San Diego, actually over 16% appreciation in property values in 1 year.
In 1 year, 16%.
16%, exactly, in those three markets, Toby. And this all has been driven by one thing, which continues to get worse, and that is the supply of houses for sale in the market. Now, we all know that we have a housing crisis, and the fact that we don't really have enough housing across the United States to meet the demand. There's a lot of household formation going on, the discussion we had previously, Toby, that is being driven by millennials. Of course, that demographic as a group has basically been putting off life decisions that our age group made earlier.
No offense to millennials, but the joke is you've been living in mom and dad's basement, right? And that was not a joke. It was a real thing. People were putting off those life decisions. They were putting off buying a house, putting off having a family, putting all those things off. And it was almost like a perfect storm coming together where all of a sudden people were forced to live together because they're not going into work, and everybody's looking at everybody, and then interest rates come down, and people realize maybe now's the time to move, and this ginormous push of millennials really driving the marketplace. Is that how you see it?
That's exactly right. So exactly the way you mentioned it, multi-generational households has been a very common thing throughout this entire process. Yeah. But now these millennials are reaching the age where they are making these decisions, like you mentioned, that they've been putting off. Moving out of parents' homes, getting married, having babies. And I can tell you that is exactly what's going on in my family even. I'm a good example. My daughter is pregnant right now. I'm going to be a grandfather, Toby. You can congratulate me later. But and this is the situation that's being repeated millions of times across the United States. Basically, she is now, and I just helped her buy a condominium. Then there it is. That's a new household now. And this is what's driving the demand, like I mentioned, more than anything. And on the supply side, I mentioned we simply don't have enough housing to meet the demand. Even greater significance, we don't have enough houses for sale to meet the demand of buyers wanting to buy. And actually, incredible number just came out in the financial news. As of the end of this February, 2021, the lowest supply on record in the history, lowest supply of record of homes for sale. And actually, as a number, half of what they were a year ago, February 2020.
So let me say this again. So last year, February, we had a supply issue, right? I mean, the listings were low. And you're saying it just came out record low, half of what it was last February.
That's right. End of February, lowest supply on record, half of what they were last February. And the demand is still there, Toby. Rates, as we mentioned, have been creeping up. Last year, interest rates hit 12 record lows. So also the lowest last year. It kept going down. Exactly. But as of this year, as the economy recovers, as we seem to be getting an edge on the fight against COVID, currently 2 million people per day are receiving the vaccination. So as we move forward, that has an upward pressure on interest rates. That's just a fact. As the economy improves, rates go up.
As it heats up, right? Everything gets a little tighter as money starts to move, right? Got it.
That's exactly right. And this morning, the 10-year Treasury yield hit 1.67. That's the highest rate in a year. And of course, the 30-year mortgage follows the 10-year yield, which is long-term rates. And those rates have definitely been going up. Now, that is what's causing the uncertainty in the market, Toby. What's going to happen?
Well, here, let me share one thing, Sergio. So I have a thing here. Maybe people can take a look. I just got this off of Bankrate National Survey. Hopefully you guys can see that. Hopefully that's big enough. I mean, really hang on a second. That's here. This is from Bankrate. This is as of basically 2 days ago, but March 2020 to March 2021. You see those interest rates. There's a 30-year fixed, the 15-year fixed, and a 5/1 ARM. Everything's trickling down. We have definitely turned the corner on interest rates. And if people don't know that, you're learning it here today, but you should. And these kind of curves, these long, slow up curves, they rarely ever turn back down. So we are at that spot where interest rates are going to put some pressure back on this marketplace. But I think you got some information that says it's going to take more than this little tiny speed bump to slow down our marketplace.
That's exactly right, Toby. Definitely, that's a great chart, by the way, because it exactly shows what we were talking about. Rates going down last year, like straight down, and up now, climbing up. Now, rates, of course, have a direct impact on affordability, right? That's just common sense. As interest rates go up, two things happen. Number one, less people qualify for a mortgage, because it means a higher payment.
Right.
And number two, the ones that qualify for a lower mortgage amount. So definitely gonna have an impact on demand. But there is just so much pent-up demand, Toby, that it looks that whatever conditions happen going forward, the market is still going to be in a good place. Maybe not the 10%, 16% appreciation we were having. By some estimates, we're looking at about perhaps an 8% appreciation in 2021 and a 5% in 2022. Still great numbers.
Oh, it's unreal. I mean, for me, I've been around long enough in the real estate industry since 1991. So not as long as some people on here watching. And I also know we have some licensing students, people actually sitting in licensing classes coming to this going, what are you telling me? There's no homes for sale? No, there's still a lot of real estate happening. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but the amount of demand, the amount of people in the marketplace, and these ebbs and flows, through time are going to be critical to make sure we watch and make sure that this road goes forward. But what I'm going to come to really quick for us, because I have to make sure we shift gears a little bit, because I want to talk about rentals, and I want to talk about investors, and I want to talk about a couple other things, and even I want to talk about forbearance, because there are a lot of people who are out of work, and a lot of people went in and went to their bank and took advantage of some of the leniency right now because of COVID for taking a forbearance. And I just want to make sure we understand that it's not really a foreclosure crisis right now. Do you see a foreclosure crisis, which is one of the things that leads to a pop, a bubble in a marketplace? Because I think that's what people want to know. Are we really going too high? We're talking about 16% in San Diego and Seattle and Phoenix, and we're looking at 10% across the country. And I know there are some places that are seeing 30 and 40% appreciation in certain sections and segments because of the limited demand. This scares people. I was here in 2007, 2008. You saw the big run up, and you saw the speculators jumping in, and you saw the people flipping, right? And they would buy, and they would turn around and sell it 4 months later and make $50,000. And so, what's happening in this market right now, and how does that play into the demand, right? And the spike up in pricing. I mean, and are we sitting on a bubble? Are there people who really can't make a payment, and are they going to be foreclosed on anytime soon? What do you see with that, Sergio?
I'll tell you what the main differences are, Toby, and the reason why this is not a bubble. The main difference between what's driving prices up now and what was driving prices up before the financial crisis in 2008, Toby, is think about it this way. What was driving prices back in 2008 was speculation, right? What's driving up prices now is clear, true demand. Because why? Because of the new household formations, because of the lack of supply. We just have more people wanting to buy a home that there are homes available for sale. That's what's driving up prices. And I can tell you that looking for from a real estate loan officer point of view, the quality of the financing. The quality of the financing right now is solid. The price appreciation is going up on a solid foundation. In 2008, it was going up on a weak foundation, correct? Remember in 2008?
Yeah.
What did we used to joke about? That what did you need to do in order to get a loan? Is just breathe, right?
Yeah. Fog a mirror.
Yeah, if you can fog a mirror, you get a loan.
Well, because then what happened was all of a sudden the demand stopped, right? And the pricing wasn't going up anymore, and people couldn't perform on those loans, right? And there was bad, big money, and everything kind of dropped out. And then there was this giant foreclosure, situation. And right now, I know there's people out of work and people suffering, and people that have deferred payments through forbearance, right? But that piper is going to come due. Are we seeing any spike in foreclosures or short sales? Anything?
Nothing like that, Toby. And unfortunately, of course, this pandemic has led to a lot of terrible financial situations personally for a lot of people, right? Yep. But I can tell you this, though. What's going on is, number one, we keep talking about the demand. The demand is always there. Number two, from the supply side, right now, the way things are right now, if I'm a homeowner and I cannot make my monthly payment, there's a couple of options. Number one, talk to your lender, right? Lenders are offering what's called a deferral right now. And now these programs vary from lender to lender. So I don't want anybody to think that these are available for everybody. So these are basically, of course, it's the bank, the lender, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citi, Chase, whoever you got your mortgage with, they're the ones that are going to decide what programs to offer you. But the most common available right now is a deferral. And a deferral means that, hey, listen, I can't make my monthly mortgage payment. What can we do? What the bank is going to offer is to put off those maybe the next 6 months and defer those payments at the month to the end of the term. So in other words, fine, don't make your payment for the next 6 months. We're not going to foreclose, but interest is going to continue to accumulate, and you're going to have to make those payments at the end of the term. Now, right. Worst case scenario, right? If I can't make the payments, I don't want to continue with this, I want to sell, I don't have to foreclose, Toby. Why? Because I'm sitting on equity. Right?
Yeah, you just depreciated, 8% 2 years ago, and you did 10% last year, and you're in line. So you're sitting on a pile of equity. A little different program. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a poll question. Everybody in the audience, you get ready to play. I'm going to put up a poll question, and because I'm not seeing any foreclosures or short sales either, and I think it's a moot point right now. Now, it could be in the future here quickly, but I just want to put to bed what we're seeing across the country. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a poll, and I wanted everybody to take a look at this question and go ahead and give your answer, and then I'll share the answers. Have you sold a short sale or foreclosed home in the last 6 months? Go ahead and click on your screen, whatever answer suits best for you. You're filing in. We got 50 people have answered already. Keep it going. We got almost 200 people in the session. Let's see if we can get it over 150 people responding. I got one person so far who's done a short sale or foreclosure. That's it. One person only. Go ahead and click your screens. What have you sold a short sale or foreclosure? All right. I'm going to go ahead and close this down. 3. Look, they keep coming in. Click, click, click. 3, 2, 1, 0. Here we go. All right, I'm going to share the results. Everybody should be able to see this. Can you guys see that all now? Have you sold? Look at this. 99%. Nobody's selling short sale or foreclosure. It's not happening. It's just it's not an issue right now. All right, so we clear up one myth. All right. So how about this then? What about landlords? Landlords are sitting on properties. There still is estimates that tens of millions of Americans are not paying rent. How much trouble are landlords in? Or are they riding this appreciation high saying, you know what, I got equity in the property. I'm still okay. What's happening with landlords and property owners?
Well, definitely, as we know, there are millions of tenants currently behind on rent, Toby, but I can tell you that the stimulus is going to help out a lot. Of course, the most recent bill, the 1.9 trillion going out to the economy, 45 billion of that has been set aside specifically for rental assistance. $45 billion. That's going to help millions of tenants currently behind on their rent. Now, keep in mind that this money comes from the federal government, but is distributed to the state governments. So again, similar to what I said, forbearance by banks, bank by bank situation, this is state by state situation. So states administer the programs and establish the programs, actually. Some states already have them in place. Others don't even have them in place yet. But the money is there. So the money is coming. The help is coming. It is going to help millions of people. For those that don't qualify under the program or don't meet the requirements, then definitely that there is a segment that applies to. But similar situation that we talked about when it comes to the sales of properties, Toby. We still have landlords sitting with plenty of equity, and we still have a lot of demand for housing. So definitely, once this all plays out and the eviction moratoriums are lifted, as I mentioned to you before, I don't feel it's going to be a real estate crisis. I feel it's going to be a housing crisis. So that's a different discussion. Housing in terms of homelessness, it's definitely going to increase the numbers.
This is a really good point. I wanted to make sure we got to, because I know the moratoriums are coming off here, I believe in Minnesota on March 31st. And that's right. And here in California. And there's a distinction here, right? And I was really excited when you talked about this, because there's a difference between a real estate crisis and a housing crisis. And I think what you're talking about is there are going to be people out of a home. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's a housing crisis. But there isn't going to be a shortage of people who want to buy a home.
Right? Yeah, that's right. And also keep in mind that same thing in California, Toby. The moratorium is set to expire March 31st, but I'm willing to guarantee that it's going to be extended. Why? Because we have a time gap. So the money is there to help people, but the programs are not in place yet. So how can we lift an eviction moratorium on March 31st when the money's not even available yet? I believe it's going to be extended to allow people to apply for this assistance.
Sure.
And that's going to take time. So
sure.
More likely than not, it will be extended.
But I think there's a really unique distinction, and there's part of it is there's an awareness, I don't want to say an accountability, but maybe there is an accountability, even within our profession about, understanding the difference between a housing crisis and a real estate, crisis. There isn't a real estate crisis. There's not enough properties for sale to meet the demand, which is driving and spiking up pricing, and interest rates are still relatively low where people are investing. As a matter of fact, I am in a marketplace where investors are heavily investing right now. They're heavily investing in properties because they're getting super low rates, mortgage rates, locking them in for long term and buying into properties. And I'm wondering if we're still, is there a bubble there? Like, when does that turn? When do investors say, gosh, I don't have enough people paying rent? Or, boy, you know what? If this appreciation doesn't keep going up, I've leveraged all my other properties to finance, to keep buying more properties. Do you think there's a problem there with investors right now? Or are you thinking that, no, it's still about demand and there is no problem?
No, not at all, Toby. And actually, when we took that polling question, very interesting, and I was happy to see that. And same thing we're experiencing here is nobody's dealing right now with any short sales or foreclosures. What about flips, though? Lots of flips, right? I mean, if I go show 10 properties, probably 2-3 of those are going to be flips. What does that tell you? Investors are still fully in. They're all in right now because Absolutely. The market is expected to continue to appreciate moving forward.
As a matter of fact, I want to make sure that our assumption is right, because I see people competing against investors and flippers in multiple offer situations. And I got a poll. I'm going to pull it up for everybody. I'd like you guys to take a whack at this just to make sure that we're not crazy and see what you're seeing. All right, so here comes the next poll. Everybody get ready to play along. Are you competing with speculators and investors in your market for single-family homes? Go ahead and answer what best you're seeing in your marketplace. The answers are A, they are crushing my market, these investors and speculators. Or B, we regularly go head-to-head on properties. Or C, every once in a while. Or D, I don't know, they're invisible. I don't see them at all. Look at this. Okay, votes are rolling in. They're coming in faster than last time, everybody. Take a read, drop it in, and let's see where we're at. We're getting about another 10 seconds, everybody. Very good. I'll take a drink of some water. Get my voice. All right. We're going to go ahead and close this down in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hopefully everybody who wanted to had a chance to participate. All right, we're going to end that poll. I'm going to go ahead and share the results. Everybody, take a look at these results. Look at this. So we have 12%, almost 13% say they are crushing my market. Literally every time I go in for an offer on a home, I'm competing with somebody. Now, clearly there's price ranges here we're probably dealing with, right? But you're competing. And then we regularly go head-to-head on properties, 30%. So 42% are either regularly going head-to-head or getting crushed by investors and speculators. 42%. I think on average, over the years that I've been in this industry, we've seen that those investors are somewhere around 20 to 25% of the marketplace. And so I think what we're seeing here is that it's upwards of 40 to 42% of the marketplace with our listeners, right? Every once in a while, 38%. I mean, man, look at that. So there are investors and speculators are playing hard right now. I would imagine, I'm going to go ahead and finish this poll. I would imagine you watch your investors in your marketplace. You want to know when the tides turn. It's when they stop showing up for multiple offers. Right? I mean, that's I think is going to be one of your telltales. Sergio, what do you think?
And I can tell you that investors are in at different points in the sales process, Toby. So maybe not at the bidding war. And the reason why you might not see too many at the bidding war is because many of them are in there even before that. Like, for example, in San Diego on Friday, we just opened up the bidding process for tax sales. So, that's where a lot of investors come in. In other words, they'll come in and buy properties even before they're on the market to the general public, and then do their repairs, do their upgrades, and then put them up for sale. So there's different levels of investors, but I can tell you that the professionals, they are in before it hits the general market. So that's
if you answered they're invisible in my market, maybe you're just not invited to the same table they are. Is that what?
Right, exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah, they have access to sales that the regular public does not, and that's just the fact for their buying, just for their buying power allows them.
So we got just a couple minutes left, and we're going to go ahead and wrap up. So, but I got another question for you, and this is it. This is really about the road ahead, right? And do you see giant potholes in our marketplace? Our interest rates are turning, right? Investors are still coming strong. Millennials are crawling out of the basement. No offense, I'm just teasing millennials. I've got young Zoomers who say they're not millennials and make it very clear they're not. It's so funny, all right. But anyhow, so we've got this big glut of people coming through, and we need the listings, and interest rates are where they are, and what do you see happening? What do you think the road ahead is, Sergio? Is it full of potholes? Is there a big boom bust? Or is this just going to be more of the same in 2020?
From what I've seen, Toby, I can tell you that demand is still there. The demand is still strong. And as long as builders continue to cut back on their building, and they have, for February, new buildings, new constructions, and building permits are down 10%. And as we mentioned before in discussion you and I had, the reason why that is because lumber prices have skyrocketed. Of course, one of the many effects of the pandemic has been the disruption in supply chain. Yeah. So when the materials that investors use to build their new homes increase and the price of the homes that they are building increases, that cuts into their profit margin. So on top of all this, that we don't even have enough houses, builders are not building enough houses to keep up with the demand, with the new household formation. So going forward, I still see strong demand. I can tell you that the one thing that is causing concern in the market is interest rates.
Ah.
So that is the one concern. We got to see how much higher interest rates go up. And that might be the one thing that cuts into the appreciation, the 8% that we have talked about for this year, 5% for next year expected. But if rates continue to rise at the level they are rising now, we saw the chart you put up, that might be a little bit of concern. But other than that, everything is pointing towards a healthy market and a more balanced market. Right now, it's way out of balance. We have not enough supply, too much demand. Any properties that come on the market are welcome, whether they are by foreclosure, whether they are investors wanting to get rid of their rentals where the tenants are not paying. Those are welcome. We need those. In new constructions by builder, they're not keeping up. So we need those numbers from somewhere else. So I don't see any concerns of a bubble going forward for the reasons I just stated.
Got it. And I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do another quick poll, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap up because I want to see if our listeners think that there is a bubble or if it's ready to burst. And so
let's see.
Yeah. So hang on. Hang on. Let's do this. Here it comes, everybody. And go ahead and take a look at this. What do you think? Do you think we are in a market bubble that is about to pop? Go ahead and answer these questions real quick. The needle is touching the balloon and it's about to go pop. That's a question. Answer A. B. The market is hot, but it would take more than a major COVID rebound to burst this pent-up demand. Or C. We have millions of millennials that still need homes and that won't stop for years. Or our markets and regulations are such that we will not see another market meltdown in the next 10 years. Here we go. They're rolling. It takes a while to read through these answers. I think I got a little wordy with them, but hopefully trying to convey the sentiment. All right, we'll give it about 5 more seconds. Be quick, everybody. We're going to wrap up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, here they go. Look at that. I got 15%, Sergio, don't believe you. 15% say this bad boy's blowing up. It's over. 36% say, guy, it's going to take more than a major COVID rebound or maybe a major spike in interest rates, right, to do that, to derail it. We have millions of millennials need homes, and that won't stop for years. This train is rolling down the track. Things are looking good. And I don't think there's going to be a problem. And then lastly, finally, listen, we got everything in place. We're a solid 10-year drive. We got 15. Look at it. It's pretty much bookend. Look at it. It's like equal, the both ends, and everybody kind of lays somewhere in the middle, hedging their bets. Well, I tell you what, You have been awesome today, and I wanted to thank you for coming on. Once again, everybody, Sergio is an instructor at Kaplan. He's a part of our fine faculty and staff. He's an industry expert, and he's come and shared his views, and you guys have played along. Thank you for being a part of Real Expert, everybody, and we'll talk again soon.